Randy's findings revealed that my unfaithful wife was having an affair with Charlie, sometimes even twice a week. It turns out Charlie wasn't the only one. My name is Tez Malvado, and I've been married to Jonah for almost 30 years. My favorite possession is my 70 feet long Azimuth 7 yacht, which cost about $1.2 million. I enjoy sailing and plan to retire by sailing from port to port. Lately, I've been considering separating from Joanna and have been interviewing potential companions. I've had concerns about her faithfulness, but despite that, she tries her best to please me sexually. Recently, I found out about one of her lovers, and to avoid her advances, I pretended to have a medical issue. I am STD-free and plan to stay that way. Aside from my personal life, I own and actively participate in a profitable software company. I've decided to sell the business and retire. My lawyer, Jim Parco, is a college classmate, and we've been working on the negotiations for selling my company. About 3 months ago, the process gained momentum, and we discussed other projects. Jim mentioned helping a junior partner with a pro bono case involving the Hendrick twins, who committed a heinous crime. I've also assisted another colleague with legal issues related to a convention center and hotel. During a meeting with Jim, he showed me a strange DVD with disturbing content related to a woman on the ground and a hotel employee with a shopping cart. Jim's behavior left me confused and curious. I looked at the photo again, and my stomach clenched. In the background, a couple was waiting for the elevator, and to my surprise, the lady in the couple was Joanna. I have no idea who the man with her is. I copied down the date and time of the photo and decided to have my investigator, Roger, look into it. There was also a DVD in the folder, and based on Jim's comment, I thought I should copy it. As I started copying the DVD, I sat down with confused thoughts. Just as I was putting the disc back in the folder, Jim walked into the room. I asked if I could put the folder away, and Jim agreed. Leaving Jim's office, I contacted Roger, the private investigator my brother had used in his divorce. Roger set about finding evidence, and I ended up with a copy of an insurance investigation report. The report was related to a lawsuit against a fancy hotel in the convention center. It involved a maintenance worker pushing his work cart into an elderly lady. I watched the video and realized it was a humorous accident caused by the worker being distracted. However, while creating a timeline from the still frames, I found my wife, Joanna, walking under the arm of a man I didn't know. Joanna has a distinctive tattoo on her forearm, confirming it was her. The video showed they left after about 2 hours, and I noticed changes in Joanna's appearance. I felt foolish for missing this clue, but I decided not to file for divorce immediately. Instead, I plan to liquidate and start sailing around the world without Joanna. After a year, she will have to file for divorce. I'm not concerned about dividing assets, but I won't share the proceeds of my software company. Roger's first report took about a week, and unfortunately, it brought more bad news. We still don't know the identity of the guy in the video, but it turns out that, except for that one time, Joanna has been involved with someone named Charlie Andrews. Charlie and Joanna use our beach house, and Charlie used to be a member of the Gray Lakes Country Club, where I am on the board. He got divorced, and now he can't afford the country club. I'm starting to wonder if Joanna had a role in his downfall. Concerned about Joanna's infidelity, I made a doctor's appointment and explained that I didn't want to have sex with Joanna. I asked the doctor to check me for STDs. He suggested an over-the-counter drug, ketoconazole, which slows erections. I planned to use this as an excuse, claiming that my erectile dysfunction was due to a combination of medications if Joanna wanted intimacy. Reports from Randy, the investigator, revealed that Joanna was sleeping with Charlie once or sometimes twice a week. It turns out Charlie wasn't the only one. Joanna was also involved with Tim Stark, a club member. Tim faced consequences when his wife found out about a simple flirtation. After a few weeks, Joanna stopped trying to have sex with me. I stopped taking the medication and found relief in the old-fashioned way. Finally, the sale of my business was completed, and Jim organized it in a way that kept the proceeds out of the reach of the U.S. government. He set up shell corporations for me, and I sold my yacht to one of them. After a few more sales, the money was split between my children, and I paid off the yacht loan. Friday would be my last day before handing over the keys to the new owners of the business, marking the beginning of my new life in 4 days. I need you to watch and listen to today's video. Meet me at Cottonwood Park by the lake. I'll be there. It shouldn't take me more than 15 minutes. In the park, I found Roger walking around. I asked him what we were looking for, and he turned on a video on his phone. The video showed Joanna and Charlie entering our beach house. He fast-forwarded through explicit content and then slowed down when they were lying on the bed discussing plans. Joanna revealed a sinister plan to drug me during our boat trip, making it seem like an accident and then taking advantage of me. The plan involved docking, throwing me overboard, and framing it as a drifting boat with a date rape drug involved. My head was spinning, realizing I needed to intervene. Feeling the urge to act, Roger warned me not to do anything foolish. I agreed to send him the amount of my bills to pay off by Saturday, and I asked if I could delay calling the police until Friday. I had initially planned to leave money for Joanna but changed my mind and split it among the kids. I decided to have Roger send the incriminating video to them once I sail off. As I sail into the setting sun, leaving my old life behind, my online ad for nautical companions attracted many women interested in joining me on my journey. The accompanying photos and videos were quite erotic. I requested potential companions to write a 2-page justification for why I should choose them. Those who couldn't string together 2 sentences were swiftly dismissed. If I'm going to be alone with a woman, she needs to be able to hold a conversation. I arranged 2 interviews aboard the yacht. The first candidate seemed dubious from the start, unwilling to leave her old life behind for a month without any contact with the outside world. She declined the offer. The second candidate, Natalie, appeared to be in her early 40s and didn't seem bothered by the electronic gadget restrictions. She had a pleasant smile, and I warned her about her duties on board: cooking, cleaning, and whatever else she deemed necessary. Natalie's response was nonchalant, even showing off a bit during the interview. She mentioned she was clean and had recent test results to prove it. We agreed on a test drive and she left, promising to be there at dawn on Saturday with all her necessities. After she left, I realized I felt no guilt or regret about cheating on Joanna. It was strange how love could turn to hate, and then indifference so quickly. On Thursday, I went to the beach house, where I found several bottles of Joanna's favorite wine. I removed all but one, spiked it with sleeping pills, and replaced the cork, intending to incapacitate them temporarily. They should recover within a few hours. I decided to take further steps in separating from Joanna. I put her belongings back on the shelf, symbolizing the end of our relationship. To add insult to injury, I canceled our joint health insurance policy and turned mine into an individual policy. Knowing my plans, this move emphasized the finality of our situation. On Friday morning, I set up my briefcase and bag in the kitchen, telling Joanna that I had to fly to Vegas to meet with someone named Alonzo. I mentioned I would be back the next morning, and despite her casual response, I sensed she had no idea about my true intentions. After leaving the house, I stopped after 2 blocks, and about an hour later, Roger texted me that Joanna was on the highway heading for the beach house. I went back to the house, gathered the rest of my clothes, and had already rented a storage locker using a new alias to keep things I wanted. Joanna was too preoccupied with Charlie to notice anything. I also had a conversation with Tim Stark's wife, showing her a video of her husband with Joanna. She agreed to wait until Saturday to confront Tim. By the time I reached the beach house, it was getting dark. Wearing a mask to avoid detection by Roger's surveillance equipment, I entered and found the lovers in the bedroom, naked and asleep. I used a kitchen chair to position Charlie and duct taped him in a sitting position. For Joanna, I used handcuffs from a sex shop to tie her wrists to the headboard, and I stuffed their mouths to muffle any sounds. I was unsure how long it would take for them to wake up, and I periodically slapped them to gauge their level of consciousness. I was a bit anxious because guests were due to arrive around 2 a.m., and it was already 1 a.m. when things started. Turning my back to Roger's camera, the story took an intense turn. I removed my mask, reveling in the fear I saw in their eyes as I slapped each one to ensure they were fully awake. With a sinister tone, I informed them about a video I had that showed they were planning to kill me. Their faces turned pale as I continued, revealing that they both were involved with Tim Stark. I hinted at the possibility of 2 bodies floating in the harbor. For the next 15 minutes, I recounted the arrest and trial of the Hendrick twins, detailing their heinous acts. I read passages about sodomy, making them visibly distressed. However, I assured them that I wouldn't subject them to the same disgusting and painful fate. I explained that I had invited some individuals over and would leave the front door unlocked for them. As their imminent doom approached, Charlie and Joanna pleaded through their duct-taped mouths. Their eyes showed the terror of what awaited them. Putting on my mask again, I left through the back door and headed for the airport. At the terminal, I changed disguises, shaved my head, and took a cab to the marina, paying for everything in cash. The final preparations on the yacht went smoothly. As the sky in the east began to lighten, Natalie arrived with her belongings. We set sail, leaving the past behind. Natalie shared her story of working for an insurance company, having an affair, and being disowned by her husband and kids. It seemed like a fresh start for both of us. The story takes a dark turn as the protagonist carries out his revenge on Joanna and Charlie. Despite the sinister events, he finds solace in the company of Natalie and continues his journey along the west coast, renaming his boat Burning Desires. Natalie stays with him for 12 weeks before parting ways. The protagonist explores various ports, enjoying the companionship of multiple women. The epilogue reveals that the Hendrick twins were apprehended again, and Roger anonymously tipped off the authorities about the gruesome events at the beach house. The twins were found guilty in a retrial and sentenced to life in prison. The protagonist acknowledges the ongoing legal issues, including IRS troubles and a sheriff's interest, but remains unfazed. Surprisingly, Joanna and Charlie were never charged with conspiring to kill him. The protagonist keeps in touch with his children, learning that Joanna suffered brutal injuries, depleting her finances due to medical expenses and plastic surgery. The story ends with a sense of detachment and a hint of the protagonist's ongoing exploits with a new companion, KJ, as he continues sailing across different regions.